Hey guys, welcome to this video, and we're going to be looking at David Gilmour's bending style. And what we mean is, of course, how he uses bends in his soloing and how you can. And I'm going to be giving you 3 key ingredients that really make it sound like David Gilmour. And even if you're not big into the Gilmour sound, there's some really useful stuff here that you'll be able to take and use in your own improvisation and your own solos. So by the end of the video, not only will you have a really cool mini solo that you'll have learned and be able to play with the backing track, but you'll also be able to apply this stuff to your own improvising. Now, just before we get started, don't forget to head on over to the website via the link below or in this video, and you'll get the full backing track that you can download for free, and then you can apply this solo and your own improvisation against this epic rock sounding backing track. Disclaimer, in this video we're just looking at a tiny little fragment of David Gilmour's style of playing. Just these bends, that's it. If you are really into Gilmour and you love his style and you want to learn more about it, we have a full player study on the website, totally free, and I'll pop a link in the video so you can have a little look, and below. Head on over to the website, check it out, you'll love it, I'm sure. So in terms of getting these David Gilmour bends right, there's 3 things that we're going to be looking at and then applying it to this solo that you heard at the start of the video. So the first thing, and probably the most important thing, is David Gilmour's use of a variety of pitches when bending. So he uses half bends, whole half, and sometimes even 2-tone bends, okay? And that's essentially just taking, for example, if we were in this B minor pentatonic scale, which is where we kind of base around this solo, you know, it's taking a note and either deciding to bend it up a semitone, which is 1 fret, a tone, which is 2 frets, a tone and a half, which is 3 frets, or a full 2 tones, which is 4 frets, okay? So the first thing I want you guys to practice is pitching these things. And I'm going to kind of practice this on camera with you because it's kind of an interesting thing and a fun one to kind of learn how to do. Just simply getting it into your fingers, like how high you have to push to get those pitches. And bear in mind that you should practice this in at least 3 different areas on the fretboard. You should try and practice this down low in the first kind of 5 to 7 frets. You should then practice it between the 7th fret and the 12th fret, and then also up here, because in each individual kind of area, you're going to find it harder or easier to kind of get these bends, you know, just due to the kind of tension of the string and the different points of the neck. But for the purpose of this video, we'll practice it all around here. And this is the process that you should be going through when practicing this. So if I want to practice a half-step bend, I'm going to take this note, this is the note I'm going to be bending, and I'm going to be going up a semitone. So I'm going to hear the note I'm trying to bend to, and then get to it. And as you can hear, it's not a perfect science. And that's what you're really trying to do. So it's really an ear training test, okay? And notice when I do the bends, all 3 fingers are really nice and solid on the string, okay? I've got my thumb over the top. That really helps with the kind of leveraging, I should say, that string as you bend it up, rather than just trying to do it with 1 finger. You know, get that full solid look about your bends, okay? And all 3 fingers push up on the strings. Then I want to try and do a tone. So a tone is 2 frets. So we listen to the note. There it is. So for me, that's surprisingly high up. Okay. So you can see I'm really pushing all the way through the strings there. And then let's try tone and a half. So semitone, tone, tone and a half. That note there, let's see if we can get to it. So I come back to the note. Is that it? There it is. Just about. And you can hear, you can have a lot of fun with that. It's a really good ear training exercise. Sometimes I'm a little flat or a little sharp, but it's actually a really good one because it kind of helps your memory, not only muscle memory of how much you have to put into that to get the bend right, but also just simply listening out for the note and trying to re-pitch it again. Now when you play over the backing track, it all gets a whole lot easier because you can instantly hear when you're bending out of tune, you know, so you just work your way up until it really sounds good against the backing track with the key. You can hear it nice and clearly. So that's the first thing I would suggest practicing. Just kind of practice maybe in 3 parts of the neck, those bends, those types of bends. Now the second thing that I think is a really unique to David Gilmour's style when he hits these bends is he really digs in. He almost pinches the plectrum. I'm sure you guys have heard of kind of pinched harmonics, where you basically just pinch the plectrum really, really close so you get some plectrum and some flesh from the thumb as well. And David Gilmour really does do that quite often. When he's kind of using the bends, he'll quite often hit them at a point where you don't get a pinched harmonic, but you do graze the finger as well, the thumb here as well, so you get a slight harmonic coming through, which gives it that extra edge when you hit it. Okay, you can hear that, you just get that harmonic above the actual note as well, and it does make all the difference. It's not an exact science, and again with David Gilmour you can hear it's not an exact science, because especially when you hear him live, sometimes he smashes that, sometimes he doesn't, sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't, and it's all part of the improvisational fun that he's having on stage. But it's something to bear in mind, and the technique is really simple. You hold the plectrum at a point where you're just seeing a little bit of the pick tip, and you're just going to touch a little bit of the thumb as you pick as well. I also hold it quite tight when I do that, and I do a lot of raking. So if I'm going to go to this bend, I'm not just going to go like this, I'm going to go like this. So you can hear I'm raking through the strings, so I'm literally muting the lower strings with my palm of my hand here, and as I get to that note, I let it ring out, and ideally I pinch it a little bit like that to get that extra Gilmour edge. Now the third thing that I notice about David Gilmour's bends is just the vocal quality of them. He really lets the kind of notes in between ring out, okay? And what I mean by that is, if you imagine you're going from this note here up a full tone, up there, okay? Quite often you'll see guitarists, and Gilmour does it as well, of course, it's all a variety, but you'll hear a guitarist go from there to there quickly, okay? Quick bend that goes up, okay? Now, what I hear from Gilmour a lot, especially on the way back down, is really letting the sound come out like this. Okay, so almost hearing all of these notes, these kind of different, whatever these notes are as you go through it, in between the semitones, you really hear them. And that gives it that extra kind of vocal quality, I think. So, you might do a lick where you kind of go, which is going to be the first lick we'll look through. We'll come to that in a minute. But really hearing that sound come down gives it that kind of wailing sound and that vocal quality. And you can do that all over the neck. Okay, so let's actually get on and break down the solo, because in that mini solo, we could call it a couple of licks there, it just is a few examples of what I was saying there, the 3 points. So the different styles of bends, the digging in, and that kind of vocal quality to the bends themselves, okay? So the first lick is this. Okay, so it really is kind of out of Comfortably Numb, that kind of kick-off lick, which just sounds so good, okay? For your information, we are in the B minor pentatonic, straight 1, and I'm just starting here by kind of little slide into the 9th fret, 7th fret, and then I'm going to do a full tone bend, so from there to there, on that note on the 9th fret of the G string, okay? And like I said before, I'm going to really dig into that. I'm not going to pinch that. I'm going to dig in now. I'm going to give it a good old rake to kind of really dig in there, okay? Now, one thing to bear in mind with the bends, I would say, before that bend ends, I'd want to give it a little bit of vibrato. So that means that whilst this bend is still at the top, I'm just going to let it drop a tiny little bit, but then go back up and down, as if I was doing vibrato on a normal note, but on the bend here. Okay? And for me, quite wide vibrato. The main thing is with vibrato on a bend is that you kind of hear the reference notes. Okay, you keep that in your head, and then you come down from it just enough to hear it drop, but then straight back up again. And you can see I'm doing quite a lot of work with the arm, just letting that kind of ring out. But all 3 fingers are really solid. Very hard. It's probably one of the hardest vibrato techniques to do it on a bend. So just don't like stress yourself out about that. Just give it a shot. But as you get better and better with the bends, it's something to definitely bring in. Now then, we then hit that same note again whilst it's still up there and let it come down. So we let it vocally slowly drop down, then pull off, then back down to the root note, and then coming back to that note but without the bend. Okay? And again, on that note where I let it drop down, I am going to try and get a little pinch. Okay, whether it gets full harmonic-y like that, or something in between. Ideally, that something in between for me is perfect. But, you know, that's a little bit hit and miss. Certainly for me, for my playing, I always find it a little hit and miss. But it's something I'm going to try and do anyway, just to get a little extra out of the note. So that lick altogether is this. Okay. The next lick is this. Okay. So let me just take you through that. So first things first, we're moving up into the pentatonic box 2 in B minor, sliding from the 9 to the 11, then 10, then as we hit 12, what we're going to do is this, probably my favourite thing that I ever learnt from David Gilmour, which is to bend up a whole tone, which is there, obviously be checking that tone. And then from there, without any other plectrum stroke, I'm going to bend up a further half step, a further semitone, to do a bend and a half. So you get this. Okay, it's like this, but with a bend. Then back down to the tone, bend. You see, I just missed it there. Could you hear that? And then as basically, really from there, I'm just dropping it down in that vocal quality, okay, like this. Okay, you see, I'm just really just letting that slowly go through all those kind of mini harmonies that are within that note, okay? So just coming down, 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 and then 10, 12, grace notes slide back from the 11 to the 9, and then back to the root note in the pentatonic shape 1. So all together, nice and slowly. Okay, and we've even got a little quarter bend here, a quarter bend if you've never heard of it. Rather than going up a semitone, we don't even go that far. Okay, so we just let the note slightly change. As soon as you hear it change, just the tiniest fraction, you stop the note dead, just with the plectrum resting on the strings, and then play your next note. Some people call it a blues curl, quarter bend, whatever you want to call it. It's just a really nice extra that David Gilmour uses all the time. So there we go. We've got 2 licks, and then the last lick sounds like this. Okay, which I really like. It's not really a bending thing so much, but it's just a Gilmour style rhythmical lick. And all we're doing is hitting the double note on the G and the B string, okay, on that 7th fret. And then I'm going to do a quick descending pentatonic run, where I'm going to go from the 9, 7 to 9. Quick as you can. Even if you don't hit the A string with your plectrum, you can just let that kind of just hammer on basically, and then back to the B root note. Okay, and even there I'm getting a very, very slight bluesy curl bend, just to give it a little extra something before coming back to that nice root note with a little bit of vibrato on it. So let's just play through those 3 licks in order in time, okay? The first lick starts at the end of the first bar, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Second lick. Third lick. And there we have it. Okay guys, so that's it from me. Hopefully you can get on with that solo. It will shred your fingers up. Be warned, when you do those tone and a half bends especially, you really get, the strings go right in there. So take a bit of time with this one, let your fingers heal again, come back to it. It's all worth it to get that really super cool sound in your own playing. So hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again soon.